Standing by the window, she uttered the harsh words then. Champagne flutes hanging in midair with 27 relatives breathing in harmony. She's not kin, my daughter-in-law declared, her finger slicing through the room like a knife. She's a drain. The word echoed sharply as if uttered by a surgeon. My son remained unflinching. He nodded in agreement, joining the chorus. Someone chuckled, someone clapped. The room seemed to take it as approval. They recited what they had silently rehearsed for years. I gazed at my son, the boy whose pulse I monitored by counting breaths, whose shoelaces I tied nervously because we couldn't afford Velcro. He wouldn't return my gaze. My daughter pushed me forcefully towards the door with precision, like discarding waste. I remained silent. I smiled and I texted a single name. Once I believed love was an unwritten agreement. When my husband passed away, I raised them alone. 2 jobs, no holidays, no assistance. I sold my wedding ring to keep the electricity on. I convinced myself that sacrifice was an invisible investment, that one day it would be repaid. When my son introduced me to her, I accepted her, covered their wedding expenses, provided a deposit for their home, and guaranteed their business loan when financial institutions ignored them. They thanked me mechanically, without genuine emotion. I told myself that was enough. Subtle changes emerged, decreased phone calls, brief visits, holidays arranged to suit me instead of with me. My name became a subject of ridicule for them. She'll comprehend. She doesn't require much. She's content. I first detected the discrepancies in the bank's statements. Transactions I didn't make and transfers I hadn't approved. Accounting mistake, my son claimed, grinning. I chose to trust him. Mothers do that. After all, they prefer faith over facts. Later, I found an email mistakenly forwarded to me. She won't notice. She never does. That moment, grief transformed into clarity. I ceased crying. Instead, I began documenting. I didn't accuse them. I prepared. I consulted my lawyer, the one who assisted me in settling my husband's estate, the one who still recalled my meticulous nature. We scrutinized everything, the house, the business, the loans, the trust they had apparently forgotten about. I contacted my accountant, then the bank, and finally the secret investors I kept hidden from them. I mastered the skill of patience. Their New Year's dinner was a display of triumph. They thought I was defeated, dependent on them. They flaunted me as a discarded trophy. When they pushed me out, they believed they had ended things. It was merely the beginning. Exactly 1 week later at 5:03 a.m., my son's phone buzzed with 49 messages. The reasons were clear. The business accounts were blocked, the house was no longer security, and the trust reverted to its original conditions in my favor. At 7:11 a.m., his wife called repeatedly because suppliers were withdrawing, partners wanted meetings, and her name was suddenly very prominent in important settings. At 10 a.m., my daughter texted, "Don't do this, Mom." I read the message but didn't respond. The conflict ensued 3 days later. They arrived together, ghostly and unwelcome. I allowed them to linger in the doorway for a moment so they could sense it. "You destroyed us," my son spoke, his voice faltering. I conceded with a single nod. "No," I clarified, "I ceased protecting you." I pushed the documents towards him on the table, the repayment plans, the provisions they hadn't read, the signatures they gave me without second thought. His wife reached for them, her hands trembling. "Family doesn't behave like this," she protested. I returned a smile. "Nor do burdens." They attempted anger, then remorse, then silence. None of it was effective, as I no longer sought their affection, but rather what they owed me. Now the house is mine once more. The company is reorganizing without them. The relatives who hurled slurs no longer contact me. The silence is unblemished. I do not pine for them. I yearn for the individuals I believed them to be. Justice isn't boisterous. It doesn't require spectators. It endures. It deliberates. It arrives punctually. And when it does, it doesn't announce itself. It smiles.